By the Five Guys?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Same chocolate.
that was in the room with the nice painted tree,
Yeah.
right? That was very nice.
It was like home. This
Yeah.
is like too bossy.
Too bossy. Well, if you come to my house, it's very bossy too. And I'm not the boss, trust me.
It's all those women.
It's all those women in my house. Oh, man.
How many women besides your wife?
I have a baby now.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
What'd you have?
Baby girl. Yeah, we were at the playground, and my wife was like, I think there's all these kids running around, and my wife was like, I think maybe I want a kid, and I was like, take one. No one here is gonna care. Look at these animals. And so we got one for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then we let it go, figuring, all right, you know what? We'll get one of our own now. So no.
What month was she born?
She was born in October of 2020. So it was actually March of 2020, the day, it was like March 11th or March 13th or whatever, the day that everybody went home and there was like, all right, the world's closing for a while. So that was the day we found out. And then baby came a month early, and she was born October 16th, 2020. Frances Kathleen.
How nice.
Yeah. So she goes by Franny Kate. She's
She have red hair?
she does have a little bit of red hair. So it's funny. I'm very pale. My wife is even paler than I am. And so people are like, "What's your, who's your baby look like?" What? And I'm like, "Well, she's got a little red hair, and between my wife and I, our paleness, she looks like a jug of milk. She looks like a gallon of milk, my baby." So my wife gave birth to a gallon of milk. So she's great. She's got a driver's test next week, as a matter of fact. I don't know how she's gonna do it.
They grow up fast.
Yeah, she'd walk in and kind of, she's cruising. She walks a good bit, but not completely on her own, which is fine. All right, I guess we're all here.
Yeah.
And those who are not here will get here or not. It's the tech staff. Welcome. That's not my phone, I don't think. I'm not here if it is. If that's for me. All right. Well, like I was saying, it's been a little while, so. Kidding. All right, maybe I have lost it. I don't know. This baby! What a baby! My wife is. Thank God, my wife. She's got the patience of an avalanche, so she's great with the baby. So welcome everybody. Like I said, I haven't been here in quite some time. I guess the last time I was here was probably maybe January or February of 2020. So. Nice to see everybody here. Nice to see some new faces and some old faces too, of course. We have butternut squash soup. Your recipe says pumpkin. You can interchange them. We're going to do butternut squash, and I'm going to top that with an autumn whipped cream. And then we also have a lemon, garlic, and Parmesan shrimp. We'll put that over some linguine. If anybody has any questions throughout the night, by all means, ask away. Not now. I didn't mean to ask them now. I'm kidding. Go right ahead.
I read where they say don't buy the shrimp that's loose. Buy it in the package so you can see where it came from.
Well, the thing with loose shrimp, you shouldn't judge them. What they do on their own time is their own thing. Really, who am I to judge? So you read somewhere that it said you should only buy loose shrimp, or only shrimp that are in a package.
And you know where they came from because a lot of shrimp
Well, that's true.
places and God knows what they're feeding them.
That's very true. Only God knows what they're feeding them. Of all the things going on in the world, God is watching what they're feeding the shrimp. And that's how we wound up with the pandemic. He took his eye off the ball, you know? They were like, God, there's a pandemic on the way. He's like, no, I'm watching these shrimp here. I'm watching, I want to see what they're feeding them. So, you make a good point. Shrimp come from, a lot of the packaged shrimp that you get will come from far away. In an ideal world, you always want to buy Louisiana Gulf shrimp if you can, because you know it's going to have less mileage on it. So I'm not judging other people's shrimp, but the distance that the shrimp travels, just like any other food, closer to home is better. That's a good rule of thumb. Oops.
Now, these people on Zoom, do they get a home delivery of food?
No. I got too chatty there. I think I burned something here. I'll let that smoke drop down. So you want to be able to, always buy food that's as close to home as possible. So in this case, shrimp from Louisiana would be the closest. You can buy farm-raised shrimp. You can buy organic farm-raised shrimp. You can buy wild shrimp. Wild shrimp tends to be... the shrimp itself will have certainly less of things that are sort of GMO'd or artificially fed on a farm raised. But wild shrimp also come with their own sort of baggage as well. It's pretty rough on the environment, the way that the shrimp are harvested. There's a lot of bycatch when you catch wild shrimp that in a lot of cases doesn't get used because the fishermen are not allowed to sell that bycatch, so it goes to waste. So what I would suggest is, if you've never had a problem with shrimp, stick with what you're doing. If your fish store sells loose shrimp, it should be labeled where it came from. That goes without saying. So anywhere in the U.S. that you buy seafood, it should be labeled where that seafood came from. What's its country of origin. So, does that help you? Okay. And remember, if you're going to somebody who's a little unscrupulous, they can play games all they want. They could take whatever kind of shrimp they want and dump it out onto a large pile, and then it gets, hand picked and weighed. That shrimp could come from anywhere. So if it's already peeled and deveined, I've never seen domestic peeled and deveined shrimp. So that's definitely going to be probably from Indonesia or India. Okay? So that's more than I planned on saying about shrimp tonight.
Is Indonesia safe?
Sorry?
Is that safe?
Yeah, 100%. I've been serving it and eating it for years and years. Yes. So we have our shrimp dish and we have our butternut squash dish as well. So one of the things I got started before you came in, I was chit-chatting, and you might smell a little burned up onion right now. Things happen, Like I said, I'm way off my game. But we'll all be okay. I have some butternut squash here. I'm going to add that to some carrot and onion, and I'll show you how I cut this up. And as I said, you could use, I just don't want to set off a smoke alarm, which has happened not here, but in other places. Not many times, but...
Come on, now don't start the fire. My friend did it once with salmon.
What was that?
My friend did it with salmon.
With salmon. Well, interestingly enough, we set off a smoke alarm at the West Islip Library with salmon.
That's fun.
My buddy was outside cooking it, and the smoke came in.
Oh. Was it Larry?
It wasn't Larry. It was my buddy Rich. Larry, as we were saying, Larry's found himself a job right now. He's out there. He's a male escort. He can't get any business, but he's got business cards, if that works for anybody. So I'm going to add in here my butternut squash. Yeah, he said give him a call. He's totally ready. What's that? He's been hanging out with those loose shrimp. So I have our butternut squashes in. I'm going to add some ginger. I'll show you how we cut that up as well. Some minced up ginger. That's all going to get blended. And if you prefer to use pumpkin, you can. I see that it's a little challenging to find pumpkin right now. You know, I almost said live pumpkins. You know, whole pumpkins after Halloween, they tend to disappear. I got some chopped up garlic here as well. I'm going to give this a quick stir. So as I said, I just started out with a little bit of carrot and onion. The carrot is going to cook. Takes a little longer to cook, so you just start that a little earlier. Got some salt here. Some black pepper. There we go. This could be a good soup for you if anybody, not that you serve a lot of soup at Thanksgiving, but maybe for the other holidays coming up. I'm going to let that start to work. I'm going to add a little bit of rosemary. You can use fresh. You can use some dried. Let's see, a dash of allspice. And we're also going to have a whipped cream that we're going to top this with that is going to have some of these spices as well. That was cinnamon and a little bit of nutmeg. Smells good already. Can you smell that? I hope that the smell can go out to YouTube. Yes, question.
Could you use canned pumpkin since we can't find the real
You
plain
can
pumpkin?
use canned pumpkin. But make sure you're not buying like pumpkin
not-
pie filling, because a lot of times that's already pureed. If you can buy
Pure
cubed, pure pumpkin, go for that.
Okay.
And sometimes your best bet, they'll sell them already cut up in plastic containers at the supermarket. I think aisle 6, left-hand side.
So how much would you use? Because it's
About a 2-pounder.
2 pounds meat at
Yeah,
the
2
end.
pounds of meat. Yep.
So
So that
you
says
use-
2.5 pounds.
Right,
So after you lose some of the outside and you scrape up, you're going to lose about a half a pound. So get 2 pounds of cubed meat. If you get the can, as I say, just double check it because they're labeled so close. I did it last year. I forgot what I was buying, but I have 3 cans of like pumpkin pie filling or something that was made in a lab in the 40s. It'd gone up to space and back. So, as I said, I put some ginger in there, and so here's what the ginger looks like. And you just take your regular vegetable peeler and just peel that right off, no problem. Ginger has a pretty, I almost called it Virginia. I don't know why. It's got a pretty potent taste to it, but it's going to spread out nice throughout the soup. Because the butternut squash or pumpkin, it takes on a lot of those flavors that we put in. The allspice, the nutmeg, the cinnamon. But on its own, it's not wildly flavorful, so it needs some help, like a potato in a way. So I just peel that off there with my regular vegetable peeler. And then what I do is just slice the ginger like this. And I'm going to slice it again to get little matchsticks. But you'll slice it on a cutting board. Don't do it up here like that. Very, very dangerous. Don't do that. I don't want somebody saying, well, you know, Craig showed me how to do it like that, and they could sue me. So you julienne the ginger. into small pieces like this, and then just cut right across that. And you get some nice, equally sized little pieces. Basically tripling your recipe, the one that's in front of you tonight. So my garlic is in, ginger is in, butternut squash, salt, pepper, little allspice, cinnamon, rosemary. Now I'm going to put in some chicken stock. Feel free to use vegetable stock if you like. The Kitchen Basics one was on sale. So I went with it. I think it's just as good as Campbell's. Kitchen Basics. It's not officially endorsed by the Block Island Seafood Company. It's not an official endorsement. That you'll have to pay for. Nothing's for free, you know what I mean? Big shot like me endorsing a big product, that takes time. I don't just toss. No. This face sells a lot of products. You got to negotiate with my wife.
And your daughter.
And my daughter. And my daughter. It takes forever to get out of the house with a baby. So that's why I just leave her, you know? You got to watch them. You got to watch. You leave a kid, like, you know, just sitting in the living room for a couple hours, you come back. They're all over the place. Oh, terrible twos. I might not make it to then. You know what I mean? I keep the keys in the car. I could go at any minute.
They're smarter than you, actually.
My mom and dad had seven kids. Right? Crazy. I don't know what they were thinking. Well, they weren't thinking. Clearly, they were not thinking.
It's a rhythm now.
They call it love. Yeah. They call it too much wine, and then, you know.
Your mother was lucky. Mine had 5 girls, 2 boys. You had a lot of boys, right?
We had, my mom had 6 boys in a row. I was number 6. And number 7, lucky number 7, was my sister. Yeah. No twins for us. My mom did it the hard way. So I'm going to let this come up to a boil here. And then we'll start to blend it down. Now, if you like to make just like pureed butternut squash, add in a little less liquid. And you can still puree that up. And, you know, if you wanted to serve that, like a mashed butternut squash or something like that, you could just add much less of the chicken broth, cube it up, cook it down in the chicken broth, and add a little dash of orange juice. Adds a nice little flavor to it. So here is our butternut squash. And what I do is I just cut it right down the middle. It's also peelable with a good vegetable peeler. This is not the best vegetable peeler, but, you know, like the solid black one. There you go. This is I don't even know why I have this. I think it's just for demonstration purposes only. But it will peel with a good solid potato peeler. So I take my knife and I go right down the middle. It's not, and you know, you see these things, it's like this thing's made of wood. They're not as, don't be scared of them. They're not as solid as you think. There we go. So there's a lot. This is all meat, you know, with a pumpkin. There's, you know, the pumpkin is much larger. You're going to wind up getting about the same amount of meat, but the pumpkin obviously is much larger. It's going to look like a lot more waste. So just kind of scoop out this inside here. Very easy. It's not like, you know, the pumpkin is really sticks to, it can get very, very stringy. And you're in there with your hands, and so not so difficult. So I always try to cut things a lot smaller than they are. I find everything to be much more manageable. And then I just take my knife and I run it right alongside the skin. And you don't want to lose too much of the meat. You'll lose a little bit, but not that much. So it's pretty easy. If you have a sharp knife, you should be fine. And if you don't have a sharp knife, you should get it sharpened. I always say you're more likely to cut yourself with a dull knife than you are with a sharp knife. Plus, if you're ever in battle, you want a sharp knife, you know? That's it. You're left with just some of the flesh. Cut that into some smaller, manageable cubes. You don't want to cut them too large, because then they'll just take too long to cook. That's about as big as you need. That's not going to go in then. You know what? It's feisty. Let it live. Good for the soup. I'm going to drop this right in here as well. And they'll cook up fairly quickly. They're about the time it would take you to cook a potato. And as I said, we're going to wind up blending this, so you got to get them pretty soft. So that's why I'm going to put the lid on here. And I might add a little molasses at the end after I've whipped it up and I want to taste it. Anybody have any questions? Wow, I really remember you being a much more rambunctious bunch. But that's when we were serving wine at these things. And
Yeah, right.
you guys were stumbling in. Yes?
You said to use vegetable.
No, I said you can use vegetable broth.
Because I can't eat tomato. I love it, but I can't eat it.
Yeah.
And every time I look, there's always tomato in the vegetable broth.
Is there?
So would that be okay to go into that mess?
Into this mess? Never heard it put that way.
No, it looks delicious.
No, well, if you can't use vegetable broth because there's a tomato in it,
Would it be okay if...
it would be fine.
Okay.
But if you can't eat tomato, I don't want you to eat it. So I would use chicken stock. But if you have a veggie broth that you have found that doesn't have tomato in it, something that agrees with you, I'd stick with that.
I'm looking.
Oh.
Vegetable is tomato. I can't eat any of the nightshade plants.
Okay. Nitrate plants?
Nightshade.
Nightshade.
Right.
I'm born and raised in Queens. I have no idea about gardening. I don't know anything, you know.
Tomato, peppers.
Oh.
They're all-
So veggie broth, so there's probably quite a few things in veggie broth that you can't eat.
I can't, yeah.
So I wouldn't use vegetable broth. Or make your own.
Well, that's what I usually do.
Yeah.
But, you know, you get to the point where you don't want to cook anymore, and I would just like to buy a container. But they
Okay.
don't make
Well, I would probably, you'd have to Google. I'm sure that you're not the only person out there who can't eat nightshade items.
I have rosacea, and I break out.
Yeah. So I bet you might not be the only one. I would Google, or maybe
sure.
Amazon has a non-nightshade veggie broth. I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. There's.
All the good things that are, you know.
I hear you. I hear you. There's a lot of good things that you just can't eat because they're not good for you, right? Is that what you mean?
Well,
Oh well. I'm sorry to hear that. And I'm glad I didn't use veggie broth tonight. This is chicken broth. So you're in luck.
it smells delicious.
Thank you. It's the tomatoes.
I would love to have a big slice of tomato on a roll.
Oh,
This will be good for you.
Oh, no.
well, I'm sure that the folks here at the library could get something for you. Let's make that happen, okay? I don't know.
Information.
I'm just gonna put a little pasta in here to just take the chill off it. But I learned something from you tonight, so thank you for that. Nightshade plants. This is just some pasta, some spaghetti. Sorry? Oh, I put a little bit of olive oil on it. And I'm just doing this to take the chill off it right now. So I'll make up this shrimp item. And as I say, I have the pasta here. So I'm going to get that. It's already cooked, so I just want to take the chill off it and let it sit in this hot water. So I have this wonderful shrimp loose. How many folks did we wind up with here tonight?
Over 40.
Over 40. No. Close to 40. 35? Okay, that's good. So I do have some shrimp here. Now, it's up to you. One of the things you could put on here are some toasted panko breadcrumbs, if you like. You don't have to. I don't have any in my pockets on me, but you're welcome to. But we're just going to do some garlic, Parmesan, and lemon shrimp here. So we start out with some garlic and a little bit of onion. I was saying to Krista, it took me 2 hours to get here today. The holiday traffic is out there, folks.
Already?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I came from Queens. Took me 2 hours. I was on a bicycle, so I was like, that's pretty good.
You're on a bicycle?
Yeah, drag all this stuff.
Oh, on your back. What a strong guy.
You bet I am. You live with my wife, you got to be strong.
That's good.
She'll beat you down. She'll beat you down every day.
Your wife must have looked at you and went, what is he doing with the bicycle?
Ah. The other night she asked me to sleep over at the house. I said, you're crazy. She's like, well, we should probably live together now. You know, we're married. I'm like, let's not ruin it. You know what I mean? We're doing good. No sense messing it up.
Don't mess it up.
So I start out with some extra virgin olive oil here. My wife works from home now, though, so I do see what she does at work. And I've picked up a lot of office speak. I don't know if anything ever gets done in offices because everyone's tabling. You know what? Let's table that for Wednesday. Can we circle back on that? I'm gonna have to circle back. So I've asked him, like, does anything ever get done? It just seems like it's a constant day of reshuffling. Geez, you know what? Nick's not ready for that, guys. We're gonna have to look into that again, but not today. And then she's like, oh, what a rough day at work. I'm like, it sounds like you just avoid work the whole time. No one's really working.
Do you do all the cooking at home?
I do a lot of the cooking at home. My wife cooks a lot too, though. She's a very good baker, and much better baker than I am. So she does the baking, and I do more of the savory stuff. How's that sound? So I have. I'm going to start it with a little bit of onion, a little bit of garlic. Got some hot pans here. I have shrimp, which are $16.25, which means they're $21.25, which means there's 21 to 25 per pound. Oh, excuse you. So when the larger the number, the smaller the shrimp. Yeah. So if you see something that's like U8 or U10, that means there's going to be under. The U is for under 10, under 8 per pound. So keep that in mind. So what we do here, soften up our garlic and our onion. When you're doing this at home, I would have your water at a rolling boil. And when you put the pasta in, it should take about 7 or 8 minutes or so. That's about how long this should take. So I'm trying not to burn the garlic, so I just keep it moving. I don't have wine on the recipe, but you're also welcome to add some wine to this. I like to have boxed wine in the house. This way you can drink as much as you want and your wife can't tell. She can't see through the box. Everything's fine. Totally fine. Just want to make sure I'm not throwing anybody off. I don't have my glasses on. I can't read it anyway. So we have our butter. We have our olive oil. We've softened up our onion and garlic. We're going to hit it with a little bit of red pepper. Can you eat red pepper? Oh, okay. I don't know. Because you said you couldn't eat peppers.
It's just I don't.
Oh, you could eat anything you want, but you don't. Hey.
I spend my life with pimples.
So there we are. We got some nice looking garlic. It's just close to getting toasty. So I'm going to stop it. And I have my shrimp here, all pretty dry. Some salt and pepper. And let's get these shrimp cooking. As I said, these are 21.25, meaning there's 21 to 25 per pound. And I bought peeled and deveined, which if you're making something like this, totally fine. If I'm making shrimp cocktail, then I always buy it in the shell. I find that it loses a little bit of flavor when you buy it peeled and deveined. They'll take about 3 minutes or so to cook, but you'll know they're going to get nice and pink and red. And in the time it takes them to cook, I'll finish them with some lemon, some extra butter. I have my lemons here. You want to get your microplane, get some lemon zest. This adds a lot of lemon flavor, aside from what you get from just the lemon juice. Now, you might think, well, isn't this just shrimp scampi? Well, it's not really. Shrimp scampi that would not have any Parmesan in it. And sometimes shrimp scampi you can thicken with a little bit of butter and flour. We won't be doing that here. Take my lemon. Make sure I keep the seeds out. Remember, a warm lemon is going to give you more juice than a cold lemon. So if you keep them in the refrigerator, maybe you want to take them out. You can also just put it in the microwave for 5 seconds or so. That works too. How's it smell? Good. You know, when COVID was happening, luckily I never got it, but when they said that you could lose, you know, your sense of taste, I was like, you know what, on the nights that my wife cooks, that wouldn't be a bad thing.
You're a bad boy.
Oh, you don't know what I put up with it.
Bad boy.
So there we go, very close. You see how kind of simple the dish is, but I have to get my pasta in here, and that's when I finish it with the cheese and a little bit more butter. So as the shrimp are very close, I'm going to grab my pasta. Can I get an actual head count just so I don't do some extra work that would take up too much time? So when your shrimp are just about done, and these are just about done, put your pasta right into the pan, right out of the pot that you were cooking it in. 34, thank you. So you're gonna come, like if you were at home, right out on your stove, take your pasta right out of the pot. You don't need to drain it because you want to use that pasta water. And that's what I'm doing here. It's a linguine. Oh, I had all my butter in there, so I'm good to go. Finish it off with a little bit of the cheese right now to start. And now I'm going to toss it all together. You can add some more lemon. You can add a little bit of chicken stock. In this case, I think I might put in a little bit of chicken broth or a little bit of clam broth if you like. Whatever you might have laying around the house. And lastly, I'll finish it off with some parsley. It might need a little more lemon, so you'll taste it and you'll be the judge. Or maybe I should taste it. Maybe I should be the judge. Okay. Terrible. What are you going to do? You know, there can't always be a home run.
Oh God, now you have to tell you like a terrible recipe.
So I'm going to get started putting some of these items out. And then let me just get a little bit of a head start here. And then you folks will come on up. We have our 100% biodegradable forks here. Take a napkin. Go on a little long, Krista, I apologize. And then I'll get these folks out of here. I think that's 35. We'll find out. Anybody have any questions? Yeah? What's that?
And you sauteed the shrimp.
Yeah.
How would that have changed the taste of the recipe, or
It just gives it a little bit more of an
enhanced it?
acidic, a little bit more of an acidic flavor. That's all. But you can deglaze the pan with the white wine. So when you have the celery, when you have the onion and the garlic, that's when you would add some of the white wine.
Right.
And then let the white wine cook down, and then put the shrimp in. You'd almost want to have most of the wine gone before you put the shrimp in,
I see.
so that this way you're not
So it's very subtle.
this way you're not steaming the shrimp.
Right. So it's a subtle difference.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And it's just the wine. If you're going to use the wine, use a Pinot Grigio. I find that works quite nicely. All right. And the one closest to you, that's yours. It's not the one in the back that you're like, I want that one. That's not that one's not yours. I promise you, that one is not yours. They're all the same. So why don't we just come from, starting with this lovely lady here. I don't know if you're lovely. I'm going to take a guess and assume you are.
This is the nearest one.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
You got your fork and your napkin down there.
Thank you, Chris.
You got it. And we'll take that row behind them. And then the row behind them. You know, come on up just civilly. I just don't want folks, coming up too early and then having a crowd, that's all. What was that? Delicious. I'm sorry? There you go.
I watched all your shows.
Thank you. Well, we couldn't do it without the folks at home.
I actually won your contest too.
Oh, did you? What did you win?
The Donovan's thing. I gave back to you.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that was very kind of you.
Support your wife too.
Thank you. I did, as a matter of fact. Thank you. That was excellent. You got it. And we'll take this front row here.
You want us?
Yes, please.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you got it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You got it. We'll take that second row. You want me to drop one off for you there? Or just hold one back for you? Got it. All right, let's start that second row. Thank you. You got it. Well, give it a shot. I hope you will. Did you want? Are you not having any? Oh, okay. Oops, sorry. Let me just put it down, okay?
Yeah, okay, perfect. Perfect.
Next row. How many do we have left there? Okay. Okay. Got it?
Oh, it smells delicious. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Good job.
Enjoy.
Thank you, sir.
Got it. Who's left there? Come on up.
Good to see you.
You too.
Great sense of humor.
Thank you very much. How are you? Good.
You outdid yourself. It does smell delicious.
Thank you.
Good.
And congratulations on the child.
Thank you very
Glad
much.
you had the opportunity to.
Yeah, me too.
It's just.
It's-
my life was that part.
Yeah, I mean, I got a long way to go, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
No guarantee. You know, I'm glad you got there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay. You get yourself set there, all right? Okie doke. All right. So like I said, you know, in a normal scenario, you would do it just like that. If you want to thin it out, a little more lemon. If you wanted to add some crunchy, then you would add, as I said, maybe some panko breadcrumbs. Thank you. Oh yeah, he's been avoiding you. So I'm going to check our soup here and check for the consistency on the butternut squash. I want to see if it's softened up. Thank you. I appreciate it. Like I said, I don't get a lot of kindness at home, so I've forgotten what it's like. Yeah, so I'm just kind of like pressing my spoon against some of these, and they're mushy, which is good. That's what we want. Want to get that mushy feeling because we got to blend it. If they're too solid, they're not going to blend. But I had promised you that there would be an autumn spiced whipped cream. So I have one here. And, well, I figured, you know what? It's been a while. Might as well finish with a bang. So, you might not be able to see it from back there, but you can see some of the speckles of... it's a little off-white. Because you want to try to do this earlier. The cinnamon, the allspice, the nutmeg, you want to give it time to bloom. So if you just drop it in, it'll taste good. It'll taste better if you make it a little bit ahead of time. And when you're whipping cream, you want to get yourself some heavy cream. Take your bowl. For the bakers out there, you know this already. Put the bowl in the refrigerator. I put the whisk in the refrigerator. And I started blending this with the hand blender first. Get a bit of a head start. Obviously, if you have the, if you have a mixer, by all means.
Make butter.
Exactly. You don't want to go too far and make butter, but it'll be a better process if everything's nice and cold. But as I said, I did start this process with this stick blender. So this will work for this as well. And what I suggest with this stick blender, if you don't have one, holiday season's right around the corner. You can get one for an inexpensive one, maybe 20, 25 bucks. This is a Cuisinart. I've got it probably 10 years. Maybe more than 10 years. And I've gotten a lot of use out of it. So I used it tonight, for example, on the whipped cream. I'll use it now. Potato leek soup, mushroom bisque. I use it quite a bit. No, I'm going to my brother's. But my mother has already gone up to start cooking. She won't give it up. So we at least got it out of her apartment. It was like Thanksgiving in a Subway. It's tough stuff. She's like, well, we did it here for years. I'm like, uncomfortably. So up to my brother's. She'll cook like crazy. Then I'll come in and kind of execute with my brother, who's a chef, and we'll slice down everything. And yeah, about 40 people or so. So it's a battle. He's in Connecticut. What's that?
Was your mom a good cook?
Listen, I learned to cook from my mom. Right? She was such a bad cook, I had to feed myself. No, she was great. She was a great cook. She still is.
You are a priceless gift.
I will tell her that. The thing is, there's home cooking, then there's cooking in restaurants, and they're all very different. Home cooks can make a great meal for 5-6 people, but that doesn't translate to a restaurant, for example. And then there's people I've worked with over the years in restaurants. They're very good at being busy and putting food on a grill and things like that, but they're not always great cooks. Well, they're good cooks, but they might not be able to make sauces or soups. They just happen to work in a kitchen. So
Your mother blesses every meal before she starts it, and that's
she blesses it?
Before she starts, she says, "Bless me, God, let this be a good meal."
Well, she's probably into the holy wine. I know that. So make sure your blender is fully submerged. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of splattering. You don't want that, especially with something that's so hot. And you want to kind of get a velvety texture. But this is quite hot, hot, hot. As opposed to using your regular blender? I'm glad you asked that. Let me just finish this and I'll tell you. So as you see, I didn't I never took this thing out. When you're cooking with a blender, you've got to pour the liquid and the solids, and it's really hot, into a blender. It'll pass. I'm going to just do a little bit of molasses.
Oh, molasses? Wow.
Could you put a hand mixer in that too?
I don't think so. I don't think it would. It would have to be the squash would have to be extremely soft. So to answer your question, it's a matter of safety. With a hand blender, you're not transferring the contents over and over. So the less you handle boiling hot liquid and stuff like that, the better. And you can do it much faster because with your regular blender, don't forget, you can't do this all at once. You have to do it in portions.
I learned something.
What's that?
I learned something,
Here?
Yeah.
That's the
Believe
first
it or
time.
not.
We've been doing this a long time.
That's a great holiday gift for all my daughter-in-laws. Because
It's a great gift item. Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
So basically it's just for soups,
Soups? Yes.
not mashed potatoes.
No, definitely not mashed potatoes. Definitely not mashed potatoes. So, it would do for, as I said, for your soups, you can blend up, maybe some smoothies and things like that. You can use it for a smoothie. Because a lot of these things will come with a large plastic colander. Yeah. So that'll work for you. So we'll go in reverse order this time so that whoever was last shall be first. Now, in an ideal world, if you had a lot of time, you would take your whipped cream and you would make what's called a canal, like this. And it would be this perfect little thing. And if Larry were here, he would try to do 35 individual canals. And then you put it right on top, and it's going to melt right into your soup. So why don't I believe you were last, right? So we'll just go in reverse order.
What if you were using pumpkin?
If you were using pumpkin, I wouldn't change anything.
No, but isn't pumpkin more water in it?
No, you just keep, you'll cook it down till you're, if you look at it and you have way too much liquid in there. Yeah, why don't we do it? We'll come from my right to left. You just keep, is there going to be room that way?
So if you were using canned
Maybe we should go this way.
Would one can, it be like a pound can, be the equivalent of 2 pounds of fresh? Or would you use 2 pounds?
No, I would use 2
2
pounds.
pounds.
Yep.
Gotta go that way.
Yeah, I think it might be easier if you went that way.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. You got it.
Thank you so much.
You got it. You're welcome.
Can you put one without heavy cream?
Sure.
Thank you.
You got it. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to put mine in here.
His is disabled, so we have bring it. Thank you. You should do TV. I'm amazed. Entertainment business, our family.
What's that?
You're really good.
Oh, thank you.
As a chef, for sure, but also personality-wise, you can't be beat.
I appreciate
Better
it.
than ever.
Yep.
Never had it. I've never had it. This kind of stuff.
You
Does
got
your
it.
mom make turkey?
Yep.
Thanksgiving?
Yeah, she makes a very good one too.
Yeah.
She brines it now. She used to never brine it, but now she does. We've talked her into it. But she does make a great bird. But she doesn't like turkey. So I don't know how she does it, but she does.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So she's back again? She never went. Oh, I didn't know.
Let me just put that down, okay? There we go.
If you have some left over, can I buy some?
Let me see what I got here. Yeah.
The one that was blatant today was the running around with the dogs.
You got it.
My son walked down to the door.
One no cream. That's hot stuff there.
Good, take a spoon. Thank you.
You got it. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Craig.
You got it.
I never had whipped cream in my soup. It's a treat.
He didn't run out of bullets.
Yeah, and it looks nice. That's the thing. I mean, you could dump cream into it, and that's fine. That'll work too. But there's just a different way to do it.
Looks delicious. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just enough spoons.
There you go.
Just enough spoons, yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Love butternut squash.
Well, enjoy this.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
I'm curious.
Yeah. In this? No. Well, there's savory whipped cream and there's sweet whipped cream, and this is obviously a savory whipped cream. So as I was saying, you could just put cream in it. That'll work too. But this is going to give you the cream, and it'll look nice. Yes, ma'am. Could you put an apple in here? Of course, yeah. 100%. So the library closes at 8. So I'm going to start to pack up some of my items here. but I want to say thank you to Krista for having me here. And I forgot your name for a moment. Kathleen, thank you, Kathleen, for crowd control and keeping these folks in line. And I want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. It was great to see you. And for, oh, thank you. That's. I will very much enjoy it. Thank you.
When are you coming back?
I'm going to be off the road for 2022. So, I'm going to be around. I'm going to go into bank robbing, as a matter of fact.
It's more profitable.
It is. And it's shorter hours. You're in, you're out.
Have you seen on television the past 2 days all the robberies?
Yeah, see, they're smart.
Oh my God. And you have a mask on, it's easy.
And you got the mask on. It's nice and easy.
You're not booking anything.
Not library, not in persons. Yeah. So I'll be online for some other libraries and things like that. Some private Zooms. We're starting a cooking series. So if anybody follows us on Facebook or Instagram, you'll see that. We're going to be doing a cooking series where people are going to be picking their own classes and things. Of course, we have our T-shirts and our aprons here. If anybody's interested, come on up. $20 each, 2 for $40. Otherwise, it's been wonderful to see you folks. Have a great night, and I have that for you.
Very nice.
Have a great night, everybody. Thank you. We'll be seeing you. Play the music.